Staying true to yourself while creating, that's one of the hardest things you'll do. Every artist, entrepreneur, and creator faces the same tension. How do you honor your vision when bills need paying? When critics don't understand? What does it actually take to stay true to yourself in your creative work? What do you risk? And what do you gain by being yourself? I'm an actor, author, and entrepreneur, and my own journey has shown me that being authentic in your creativity requires courage. So settle in, these are honest conversations about what it means to create. Today's conversation is with Annie Taft, a producer, playwright, and director, and we are going to discuss creativity and storytelling and how to maintain your authentic vision when theater is such a collaborative art. Welcome, Annie.
Hello, Nicole. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Welcome to the podcast. So, for those of you, those people who don't know you, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Well,
and your work.
I am a playwright, director, producer, sometimes actor when required. I started out as an actor many years ago in Los Angeles, and it wasn't for me. I felt like my skill level wasn't high enough to compete out in LA, and I decided I liked working behind the scenes better. So I wrote my first play about 30 some years ago, and that's what I've been doing since.
Wow. And so you grew up in California and the LA area, right?
Yes. I grew up in Los Angeles, and then we moved to Orange County. And then after the Northridge earthquake, my former husband and I moved here.
Okay. Yeah. So was being in that environment with all those creative people, did that influence or inspire you in any type of way?
Yes. Where I went to a professional acting school for 3 years, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people. And it was a wonderful, incredible creative experience. You're immersed in theater from the moment you start at that school. You start up and you learn everything about theater. You learn, how to build sets, how to build costumes, and then you get to get on casting finally, and then you get to be in shows, and you learn about everything that works backstage and on stage. And you take voice and movement and, of course, acting and all kinds of classes. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so you just said that you wrote your first play several decades ago. And so what inspired that?
It was actually the people I went to school with. I had some very good friends. We were a small cohort. There were only 10 of us in my class. And so the 5 girls and 5 guys, and the 5 girls were very close. We used to do everything together. And so I had started writing a little bit in school, and I found out I had a knack for dialogue. So I would just listen to us talking, and I got a spark of an idea. And originally at the time, my former husband was supposed to write I was going to write the women's view of, life in your 20s and dating and figuring yourself out. And he was going to write the man's view. Well, we split up. He never did his side.
So you had to do both sides?
No, I didn't do the man's side. I just did one. And in fact, it's called Girlfriends.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. We did a 3-week run at Art Center. It was sold out every night.
Wow. That's amazing. So that was your first. And so how many plays would you say you've written over the years?
Somewhere between 30 and 50.
Wow.
But a lot of them are short plays.
Oh, I see.
They're less than 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
I've written 3 full-length plays.
Amazing. So when was the sort of bridge into being a playwright and then moving into directing and producing?
Well, I actually started directing first. Again, when I was back at school, I directed some things that was one of the projects we did when we were in school. We directed some short plays. And then after I finished school, I directed a few full-length plays at the school. And then I found out I really had a knack for it, and I loved it. I loved it because you're in control.
Right.
In control of everything.
Yeah.
And so I loved that. And then, of course, I got married and had children, one child. And then, life, having to work. So the creative side kind of got buried for a little bit. But then when I went through my divorce, I said, hey, I wrote that play. Let me get that out and dust it off. And that's what I did. And then I produced it. I had submitted it for a competition here in North Carolina the North Carolina Arts Council. And I was like, of course, submitting it the last day, the very last day. And so I drove down there because this is when you had to bring them in person. You had to either mail them the scripts or bring them in person. So I went down there and I said, oh, I have a script for the competition. And she says, oh, just drop it off in the back room. And so I walk in the room and there are stacks of scripts everywhere. And I'm like, oh, never going to get produced by them. So I said, I'll just do it myself.
Amazing.
And that's what I did.
Yeah. So the first play you directed was your own.
Yeah.
When did you?
No, the first play I directed was not mine.
Oh, okay.
I directed some Christopher Durang plays, and then I also directed one called Men's Singles by D.B. Gillies.
Okay.
And I loved that. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
But then I decided to write a full-length play, and then that's what, after, a few years, I dusted it off and rewrote it and
So when you're directing other people's work, what are some of the challenges that come up? Because you're obviously interpreting someone else's vision. How do you incorporate that into your directing?
It's really interesting. It's really interesting because I work with a lot of playwrights. Because a lot of my friends are playwrights. I've been in many different playwriting groups over the years. And so when someone asks me to direct, first thing I do is read the play to see if it's something I would even want to direct, And then if I like the play, but it has issues, sometimes I'll suggest a stage reading first, or a table reading and then a stage reading. Because some people, when they write a play, they'll write a draft and they'll think it's good to go.
Right.
No, it's not. You gotta work on it.
Yeah.
And you gotta edit it and you've gotta clean it up. And some people, like Jessica, for instance, she went through a 10-year process of workshopping her play. I've gone through workshopping my plays, and that's usually a 10-year process. Also, it takes a very long, especially for any full-length play, it can take years and years to finally get it on its feet, because it is a process. And writing is rewriting. It's an old cliche, but it's very true.
Yeah.
And so you get feedback from people and you improve your play. And you also have people, as a director, I also am a little bit of a dramaturg too, where I'll say, this is working, this doesn't work. Why is this? I ask a lot of questions, a whole lot of questions of every playwright. And then I'll make suggestions for edits. I'll make suggestions for sometimes a line I think could be funnier, or, this arc isn't working, or this character doesn't seem necessary to the script, or this relationship isn't ringing true. How can you make it better, more compelling, more immediate, more in the moment?
Yeah.
Those sort of things.
Yeah.
And where's the conflict?
Right,
That's
right.
the big one. Where's the conflict?
Yeah, exactly. And I've experienced this with you because we just came off of a play that I co-produced and Annie directed. So I was able to really be a part of that process with you and watch how you direct and how you interpret a playwright's vision. Have there ever been occasions where you've fundamentally disagreed with the vision that the playwright has for the play?
Yes.
And how do you work around that?
I talk to them a lot. I sit and ask them a lot of questions again. And, and we're trying to be as collaborative and open as possible. That's why I like to ask questions. Yeah. Well, have you thought about this? Why is the character doing this? Those sort of things. Why is this happening right now in the play? Just a lot of questions. What is this person's history? How do they know each other? How long have they known each other? Those sorts. Just go on and on and on, because you can ask questions endlessly about a play. Yeah. For instance, with Jessica, I think the three of us had a very clear vision of her play. Yeah. And it was pretty clear what the through line of the play was, what the point of the play was, why this was happening now, obviously. Yeah. Very, very obvious why it was happening now. And so those things were very clear. There were a few things that she and I clashed a little bit on. And because she was the playwright, I always respect because I'm a playwright also, I always respect the writer. Yeah. And what their vision is first. Because they spent a lot of time with this. They've been living with this in their brain for years. Yeah. And they've been working on it and honing it and making it as good as it can be. And so I don't want to fundamentally change their vision. Yeah. I want to work with their vision. But when I first read a play, I start envisioning it on the stage and how it's going to work, what it's going to look like. Yeah. That's the first thing when I read through, I just try and envision the play, the world of the play. Then I go back and read it again, more for like character motivation and what are the relationships, what are the important things we need to emphasize. But again, every time I'm reading, I'm always thinking about how it's going to look on stage and what we need to do to bring that vision to life. And quite often, like you said, you asked me if I had clashes. Yes, there's been clashes because I've read some plays and they sort of meander. They don't go anywhere, or they don't make sense. Sure. Honestly, I have one playwright I work with quite frequently, and he he's very into magic realism and, sort of a more dreamy quality to some of his plays.
Yeah.
And he says, well, I don't care if they don't make sense. I said, you don't care, but the audience is going to be confused.
Yeah.
So I try and get the internal logic of the play has to make sense. Even if it's otherworldly or fantasy or magic realism, the internal world has to be consistent and make sense.
Right. And I mean, I saw how you worked with that one scene that we had in Jessica's play, where it was supposed to be sort of otherworldly.
Yeah.
And you were able to bring it back down to reality and make it grounded so that the audience could connect with it, whether it was a dream sequence or not.
Right.
They recognize the connection that the actors were having and how it related to the rest of the play.
Yeah, exactly. The relationship has to be true and real, even if it's a fantasy sequence. And it has to make sense in the world of those characters' lives.
Yeah.
So with that particular scene, it was a challenge because the rest of the play is very naturalistic. And that one was a little more heightened reality. It's more like I kept saying to people, do you ever have one of those experiences where maybe you've been up all night, maybe you've been drinking or not, and then you have this kind of otherworldly experience with someone, or even on your own, and it doesn't feel quite real. It feels surreal, but it is real. It's really happening.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going for more with that particular scene. That's why the coloring and the lighting was different, and it just had a different feel than the other scenes.
Yeah.
But it was still grounded in reality.
You said something earlier about, sometimes like playwrights will just write something and it doesn't really go anywhere, right? So how do you take that vision and make it real when the playwright isn't offering or making any suggestions or making any edits for you?
Oh my goodness. I have a perfect example. Years ago, I worked on a play. It was a one-woman show. And the playwright is, again, another friend of mine, but he likes to write historical plays. And he does meticulous research. He does great research on his plays, but then he gets caught up in the reality of the research and the real person, and he tries to make it too true to reality. And reality's kind of boring. It just is. Their lives aren't that interesting. Even if it's a fascinating person, you still have to have. It still has to have that heightened sense of drama.
Yeah.
It's heightened reality is what it is. It's not realism.
Sure.
If we watch just regular people having a conversation, except for us, of course, having a conversation, it's not interesting on stage.
Yeah.
Because, you want to have to hold people's attention. You have to have them engaged and invested in the story.
Yeah.
And if you're just quoting dates and, locations and what thing was passed when, yawn, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It still has to be dynamic and interesting. And even though they're real people, we have to feel like we're seeing the most important parts of their life, the most interesting things of their life, the things where they're making decisions right there on stage, where it's happening now, not off stage and not in the past.
Yeah. That's I'm so glad you said it like that too, because we each think, I feel like sometimes we each think our worlds are so magnanimous, and then if we were to watch it on stage, it would be like yawn, like totally boring, right? Yeah. So I mean, to be able to take that and to somehow make it more dynamic, like you said, to the audience is important. Do you ever find that when you're doing this type of work, when you're taking these interpretations and you're creating something for the stage, do you ever infuse yourself into that? How is your authentic vision coming through?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, probably more than a little bit, because as I said, I do work with the playwright. I mean, I usually try and have a session or two where we just sit and talk about the script, what their vision of the script is, how they came up with the idea, what they think the through line is, what they think the protagonist is after, all the things that I want to know what their vision is. And then I'll take that and interpret it on a stage. So that's where my interpretation comes in mostly. I don't try to put my stamp on it. Like some directors, they'll get a play and they'll have to put their stamp on it, but they lose the playwright's vision. And that drives me crazy because it's disrespectful. It's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm very, very mindful of the fact that the playwright is the creator of the play, not the director. The director is not the creator of the play.
Sure.
The director interprets it, tries to make it as interesting as possible, tries to make it as meaningful as possible, but the writer's done the heavy lifting.
Sure.
And so you don't want to take away from what the writer has done.
So that's a really interesting point, because I mean, everyone that's part of this process is, has some sort of contribution to it.
Right.
So now being the director, from the director's point of view, when you see that the playwright and the actors and all the people that everyone see on stage are getting sort of the accolades, or they're getting the praise for the work, do you ever feel, does it ever make you feel a certain way, or how do you reconcile with the fact that you won't always get the acclaim, that, people won't always recognize all the hard work that you put in?
Right. I would be lying to say it didn't bother me a little bit, because it does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're a good director, your work should be invisible. It shouldn't be like, oh, look at that clever thing, I've seen some directors who, it's so obvious that the blocking was the director's idea, because the characters do things out of character and ridiculous, like get up on furniture.
Oh, right.
That's a really
and it doesn't make sense in the script.
It makes no sense. Why are you standing on the table? Why?
Yeah.
Or, putting a dance step in when there's no music and there's no, it just, some directors, they're so ego driven that they want people to notice the machinations and what they did. And I think that takes away from the play. I think that's a huge mistake that a lot of directors make. And it is really ego driven.
Yeah.
So I try and take my ego out as much as possible. I have an ego, definitely, but I try and take it out. For instance, like in the show, there was a time when a couple of the actors were cross-talking when I was giving notes, and I was very annoyed.
Yeah.
But, I have to let it, I did say something in the moment because I thought it was disrespectful for them to do that. But again, I think that if they have a suggestion, they can come to me, and I always listen to suggestions, and sometimes I incorporate them. Quite often, I know working with you, you had suggestions, and I incorporated some of your suggestions. And I think you have to be, in the theater, I always see theater as one of the most collaborative arts, because it is. I mean, you have to draw from all different disciplines, and you have so many people involved, and a lot of people behind the scenes that nobody ever sees.
Sure.
I personally think that everybody who works in the show should come on the stage at the end and take a bow.
Right, because, at the end of the show that we did, of course, and this happens in most plays, of course, but we, do a nod to the behind the scenes, the stage manager, the director, the sound and lighting people. That doesn't typically happen on camera, because that's what the credits for, of course. But on the stage, it's literally just the actors. Maybe occasionally the director will come onto the stage, but otherwise, like you said, it's almost like you're invisible,
You are invisible.
And it's important for the story to come across well, but at the same time, we want you guys to be recognized. We want people to see all the hard work that you put in. And because I've never had that experience where I'm putting all this hard work in and no one knows that I did it, And,
I know.
And so it's like, does that ever, you mentioned that it does affect you. Like, does that, you clearly don't let it interfere with your work, as I've seen, but,
Well, as a general rule, I get over it. It may bother me a little tiny bit, but that is fundamentally the role of the director. Typically, directors, they just do their job, and then opening night, they're gone. They might stay for opening night, and then they're gone.
Wow.
But because I do mostly local theater, and I'm local, and I usually fall in love with my cast, I will come to every performance.
Sure.
Unless I have something else I have to do.
Yeah.
But I do think that it would be nice if all productions had the last performance. I think the last performance makes the most sense. They bring everybody on stage.
Sure.
We did that at, we did a play called Ona when I was with Odyssey Stage. And the last performance, I was the artistic director, and I went around and I said, we're having everybody come out at the end.
Of course.
And take a bow.
Yeah.
So everybody did, except for the poor stage manager who was stuck up she was working the lights, so she was stuck up at the top.
Oh, and you guys were like,
we're like, and it was nice. And we even had the people who were like, the grips, well, I don't know what you call them, the people who do the stuff on stage.
Yeah.
Call them in the theater. The word went out of my head. Stagehands, I guess?
Stagehands, yeah. I think so.
Even the people who were doing that, we had them come out as well. We had everybody.
So nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice for people to acknowledge who all was involved with making the production.
It would take too long to do every night, I think.
Sure. Yeah. But
to get everybody out there. Because even when you have, even our cast was only 6 this last time.
Yeah.
And it took a while for everybody to get on stage.
Right. And then to the clapping. Yeah. Have you ever changed your vision mid
production?
Production, yeah.
I'm trying to think if I ever have. I don't think I have. I usually have a pretty clear vision of how I want the play to look on stage. I mean, sometimes you're working and something just doesn't work. It just doesn't work no matter how much you want it to. And you try all different ways and it just doesn't work. And then you have to cut it.
Yeah.
And then you mourn that for a moment and then you move on.
For a moment.
Yeah. Because, you know, you have to always think about, does this work? Will this make sense to the audience? Or is it just something I'm trying to impose my will on? Because I like it. You know? It's the same as a playwright, you know, you have all these lines and you fall in love with your darlings, as they call them. You're like, oh, but this line is so good, I don't want to cut it. But is it moving the action forward? Is it necessary? You know, is there some reason why that line is there? And if it's not.
I feel like several times you've now mentioned having to sort of let things go. Do you think that takes a certain type of personality? Like, do you think there are some playwrights, or excuse me, there are some directors out there that are too headstrong and maybe need to learn to change their personality?
I know there are directors who are kind of mean to their cast. They yell at them, or they're just dismissive of them. I haven't experienced that as much here. But that does happen in the theater because they, again, have an outsized ego. And it's all about them. And it shouldn't be about you. It should be about the play. It should be about the whole production. And everyone involved. Because you can't do it by yourself. Was the director going to go on stage and say, and then we're going to do this, and then No, it's the cast up there doing it. It's all the people behind the scenes, you know, working everything to make the magic happen. And even though it may be your vision, and you were the one who suggested all these things, it's not you literally on the stage.
It's your vision on the stage. In a sense.
Well, it's
through the playwright.
And the director collaborating together. It should always be a collaboration, I feel.
Of course, Have you ever had a moment where you've doubted yourself, or where it's been a really dark experience working on a play? Do you want to talk to that a bit?
Again, it was when I was working with Odyssey Stage. It was not a good experience, the last show I did with them. We had a producer working on the show who didn't know what he was doing. He clearly did not know what he was doing. But he also happened to be on the board. So even though I was the artistic director, and I should have been in charge of the whole production, he felt because he was on the board, he was my boss. And he didn't listen to me.
Oh my goodness. How did you deal with that?
It was not good. It was not pretty. He was very dismissive of me and very rude. And it colored the whole production and made kind of a negative atmosphere. And I think it did affect the whole production because I don't think that was up to the level that I thought it should be at all. I was very frustrated and very disappointed with the production overall. But so that was not a good experience. And I've had a few other times where it was not a positive experience, where either had, a particular actor was very difficult. Luckily that's been rare. Or I've had, people I was working with behind the scenes who just didn't get it. We had one stage manager one time who was just mean. She was rude and she was mean.
Oh my goodness.
And she would yell at people.
My gosh.
That was very terrible. And I had another producer on that same show who was short-tempered. Talk about egos. He had a huge, enormous ego. And he also was incredibly mean. Wow. I mean, he went and yelled at an actor. He was going to yell at an actor in front of the whole cast.
Wow.
And I had to physically stop him from going to talk to her.
Wow.
6'4".
Really?
It was comical.
I'm sure. Wow.
That was not good either.
Oh my goodness. Do you think it's like when people get in there, especially for the producer situation, I'm not sure if he was a creative, meaning like if he was a director or an actor. Do you think like maybe like the bureaucracy gets involved and they just feel like
it was all about his ego.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It was all about his ego. And he didn't like this particular person. He didn't like me either, but he didn't like this director that was working on the show.
Oh, wow. So he just wanted to like insert his power.
Well, they were a little clueless sometimes, but it did not justify what he did. What he did was just flat out wrong.
Yeah.
It was cruel and it was mortifying. It was mortifying.
Yeah.
That was a bad situation.
Yeah, those types of experiences are never fun because just kind of theater as a whole, art as a whole is meant to bring people joy, or take them out of their, take them out of their normal, everyday, mundane life. And they come to the theater and they watch a movie and they want to escape. And then that's our job as actors, as writers, as directors, is to create that space for people. And it should be a safe space for us as well.
Absolutely. It should always be a safe space for all the people working on this show. You should feel free to be able to voice your concerns about anything, or go to the director or the producer if you have an idea or a suggestion for something, and they should be open to it. It shouldn't be like these little silos or these little fiefdoms where you're like, no, this is my position and you can't ever suggest anything because you're just an actor. No. Because some of the best ideas come from, almost anybody. Even if a stagehand came to me and said, there's this part of the scenery that keeps getting in the way of, this actor trips on it. Do you think we can just move it, whatever the case might be, whoever. Or if they even said, they're late on their cue every time because they get caught backstage when there's people coming off stage. Maybe we can have them come in a different way. Whoever has a good suggestion that improves the quality of the show, I'm going to take it from anybody.
Absolutely.
Come to me privately.
You're funny. What advice would you have for maybe aspiring playwrights or aspiring directors who are looking to move into the theater space?
Go to plays. Go to plays. Go to plays. Go to plays. Read plays. Go to plays. If you're a writer, you want to join a playwriting group like Simpson Scripts, which is local. Or there's a lot of online groups as well. I'm teaching a class on how to write the short play, how to craft the short play.
Oh, amazing.
Right now. And I have people who are novice playwrights. And so it's interesting because, the things that have come to me naturally, of course, I've been doing this for a very long time, don't occur to them. And so I'm trying to coach them and guide them. And that's what you get from a writer's group. You go, and you want a supportive writer's group. You don't want somebody to just go tear down your work. Because, when you first write a play, your first draft is like a little baby. I always say it's like a little baby. It's your little ugly baby. And you don't want anybody to hurt your little ugly baby's feelings. It's a sweet little baby, you just want them to say nice things. And then you work on your baby, it grows a little bit more and it's stronger, and so then you can take some feedback and some criticism. But you always want to be as kind as possible and constructive and helpful, not just say, why did you do that? That didn't make any sense at all, Or I liked it. That's the worst kind of critique.
Because it's like, you liked
what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that for playwrights, yes, a writing group, excellent. Take classes, workshops, go back to school if you have to, whatever. But you should hone your craft, work on your craft all the time. And reading plays, and going to plays is super important. For a director, it's a little bit different. Usually directors come from, if you don't go to school and get a MFA in directing, they usually come from the theater world where they were an actor, or they were a playwright, or they were, a producer, or they worked in some capacity.
Sure.
And then you just start with shorter plays, start with stage readings, start with something simple, and then work your way up.
Right. Okay. Amazing. Wow, Annie, this has been so great. I love that. I love working with you. I love just being around you. Your energy is so great. Yes. Where can people, one, learn more about the class, and then also just follow your other work?
Well, the class is ending. So it was through Ollie at Duke. And it was only a 4-week class, but I might do it again. Probably not for a year though.
Okay.
And then I have a website, which I don't know if you can find. It's because it was set. I originally created it for the class.
Okay.
So I don't know how you can find the website. Sorry, y'all.
Maybe just Google Annie Taft.
Well, I'll come up, but the website won't come up. So I've got to create a more unique name for it. Right now, it's like Ollie at Duke, Annie Taft, Weebly or something. I don't know. It's some crazy, thing doesn't make any sense. I got to figure out how to do that. Maybe you can help me.
Sure. Well, what about Facebook, Instagram, any other socials?
Oh, yeah, I'm on Facebook, no Instagram. I don't do a lot of socials because it's such a time waster and it's so negative now.
Right. So, it is,
unless
just
I'm
doom
promoting
scrolling.
a show or pushing my progressive stuff. I'm usually not on Facebook.
Okay, but you on Instagram, you mean, but you are on Facebook.
Oh, I am on Facebook.
Oh, gotcha.
But I try not to spend a lot of time on Facebook.
Yeah, of course. Okay, excellent. Well, I think, Annie, this has been so great, so fun. Thank you for sharing your experience, and thank you for joining us.
It was fun. Thank you.